We will actually use these for our calculations. Since I'm going to be using this, I'm going to actually select all of this table and I'm going to give it the name so that it'll be easier to refer to later. Not that it is not that difficult by itself. So I'm going to call this uh, maker tableau. Tableau means table in Turkish, for example. It's probably adapted from tableau from French. Now let's build up our template to make calculations for annual depreciations, given how much we spend, what is the tax life, when are we doing salvaging, what's the tax rate, and is this straight line or makers? Those are kind of our inputs. And pre-tax salvage value. So what are our inputs? Uh, let's call it capital spending, pre-tax salvage value, of course, these are all my inputs, so I'm going to make that my green. That's why I made those little macros. I can do that quickly. These are dollar formats, and I'm going to make them a little bit bigger. So it's going to cost me 100,000, but I can salvage it at 25,000. Percent 12, 21.50. My tax life is, let's say, 10 years. My project life is 7. Is makers, yes. But it could also be no, but for now, I just put that in. So for each year from 1 to 21, we're going to make depreciation percentage. It depends on a lot of stuff. First things first, I'm going to ask if this thing is makers. To make life easy, if the first letter of that cell is Y, I'm going to treat it as makers, otherwise straight line. To get the first letter, I'm going to use the left function, left of the string. I'll make it fixed, 1. That means go to that string, grab the first character on the left. If you want it 2, you can do left 2. If that is equal to Y, and the capitalization doesn't matter, what do I need to do? That means I need to go to that table, grab the appropriate column, right? So I'm going to do an H lookup, which is short for horizontal lookup, which means I'm going to look for a match in the first row of the table. Control A gives me this little thing. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the tax life. So I want to find the appropriate column. And where am I going to look at? It's uh, Maker Tableau, okay? Because I named my table that. Otherwise, I would have to go there, grab, and do all of that. So naming tables like that helps you. Once I find a match, what am I going to grab? Well, I'm going to grab this plus 1 because the first row is just the tax life. So if I'm looking for the first year, I need the second row. And since that's also a fixed number, I want an exact match. Okay. For now, I just did this. Let's make this percent, 1, 2. You know, if this was 7 years, it would have been a different number. Let's do a little dance. But I'm not done. At this point, I only made the calculation if it was makers. So comma, what am I going to do if it is indeed straight line? Well, I'm going to do 1 over the tax life. So if this is a no, or if this was 10 years, all right? Yeah, I missed some. Oh, I didn't make this thing absolute reference. I forgot one thing. If it's straight line, I need to make sure that we get 0 depreciation after. So let's see. If this year is greater than the tax life, 0. Otherwise, I think I have one more. So if this was 5 years, you only get the first 5 years. Makers takes 6 years, we get the 6 years. Once we get our depreciation percentage, depreciation amount is easy to calculate. Depreciation percentage for that year multiplied by the capital spending. I'm going to make that a different color, blue maybe. But I also need to calculate book value at the end of each of those years. The first year, book value is whatever you spend on capital minus the first year depreciation. But after that, previous book value minus that year's depreciation. So at the end of 6 years, in this example, book value is 0. That's like that. I'm gonna make it black. Now I'm in a position to calculate after-tax salvage value. First things first, book value at salvage time. Let's make this 10, 5. Well, I can be uncivilized and say, okay, at the end of year 5, book value is 36.9, right? But as you know, I like being civilized, which means I'm going to use an Excel function to figure that out given the inputs. Well, we happen to know, let me make that red. We happen to know a lookup function. I'm going to look for project life because that's exactly when I'm doing the salvaging. What am I going to look at? I'm going to look at in this table. Oops. I could have also named that table. I just chose not to. Once I find a match, I need the 1, 2, 3, 4th column, and I want an exact match. And so if this was a 15 years, 7, it just grabs the appropriate value for me. I don't have to visually check. Well, given that, what is my salvage profit? Pre-tax salvage value minus book value. In this case, it just happens to be